Good morning and welcome to another pre-market review session with the Market Trader. My name is Ray, the Market Trader. And before we get started here, we'll need to get through our obligatory risk disclosure. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll display that. So just a reminder, the content that is being published and distributed is to be used as general information only. None of the information provided by the company or contained herein is intended as investment advice and offer to buy, sell, recommend, endorse, sponsor any security, company, or fund. We all understand that the hey Callum, we all understand that the use of this information contained herein is to be used at your own risk, and the company, its partners, representatives, agents, employees, contractors assume no responsibility or liability for any use or misuse of such information. Future trading does carry a fair amount of risk. It's not for every investor, but that an investor could potentially lose all or more of their investment capital. Only risk capital money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle should be used for trading, and only those individuals with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Again, nothing contained herein is a solicitation or an offer to buy, sell futures, options, or Forex, and past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right. So now that we've gotten through the risk disclosure, we're going to go ahead and turn our attention to the news portal, okay, and see if there's any news events today that could have an impact on the markets today. All right. So hopefully you guys can see my screen here. All right. I am displaying. Hey, Dirk. Callum beat you in today. So in any case, looks like we're just getting the reports coming out on the U.S. trade balance. Looks like the trade balance has kind of worked in our favor here a little bit on our side. We had Fed member Moran speaking here at 10 a.m. And then for those crude oil traders out there, we have crude oil inventories. Okay, crude oil inventories at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. We have Trump speaking at noon. We have Fed member Barkin speaking at 12:45. And then we have, I think, what most people are waiting for, okay, is the FOMC meeting minutes. All right. So the FOMC meeting minutes here coming in at 2 p.m. today obviously has can have a significant impact on the markets here. All right. So we have Fed member Williams, and then at the may not impact us during the session, but maybe later sessions. We have NVIDIA, okay, reporting earnings today, their Q3 earnings. And and that kind of, I guess, wraps up what we have today. Looking ahead, we have more and more significant news coming our way. We have non-farm payroll, initial jobless claims coming in tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. We have some continued jobless claims also reporting at the same. So a lot of news coming in tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. that could impact the markets. And then later that morning, we have U.S. existing home sales coming in at 10 a.m. And then we wind down with some reports coming from Goolsby and Paulson. All right. Last but not least, to close out the week, we have PMI, services, manufacturing, and composite, and then some views on inflation coming in at 10 a.m. to close out the week. Okay. So again, we're just, I guess, beginning to scratch the surface here on the impact of news that could have on the markets. Today is going to be, I think we're getting some news that could impact the markets. Certainly FOMC later today at 2 p.m. Eastern will have an impact on the market as well. Okay. All right. So now that we've gotten through the news portal here, we're going to go ahead and turn our attention to the trading platform. Okay, and we're going to take a look here at the market we normally start off with, and that is the gold market. Okay, now I got a question in yesterday's session, and we'll come to this, but let's start off with a daily. All right, looking at the daily. Okay, looking at the daily chart, we're going to go ahead and remove some of our indicators here. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay. So you can see here that the market seems to be in some sort of consolidation range. This is the potential second day, all right, that we're getting a developing bullish candle. All right, we have an area below. We have an area below that appears to be somewhat supportive. Okay, we got a reaction away from it, right? So right around this 4,000 level, right, we got a reaction. Price came down to this level and reacted away from it. Okay, so 4,000 seems to be a supportive level. Now, the problem we have right now is that price remains inside this kind of bearish structure. So we're kind of at the mercy of at any moment in time until we make a new high here. We're kind of at the mercy of the sellers stepping back into this market because what it appears that we're developing here. Okay, if I just draw the bottom of this here, we have a little bit of a trend line, okay, that's developing to the upside, but I can also draw an equal trend line in the opposite direction, okay? So there is a little bit of a consolidation pattern that we're developing here. And this consolidation pattern, especially these triangle patterns, they offer us, while I can't tell you exactly which direction this is going to play out, I can tell you the magnitude of the direction. Okay, so if I take closer to the apex of this move, right, then we're looking at the possibility of the market heading up to 47.50 if it moves to the upside, or a breakdown, okay, down to a prior level here, maybe even beyond, okay, of 34.50. Okay, that's kind of what we're building up to at the moment. Okay, now again, I don't know which direction is going to be. Okay, but I know that there is the possibility, okay, based on these measures, that the magnitude of the move could be quite significant. Okay, all right, let's go ahead now and move into our 4-hour chart. Drill it. We're gonna kind of zoom in on these daily candles and see what the market has to say about all of this. Okay, so let's see here. We have the 21-day also moving here. VWAP. Okay, let's take a look. All right. I'm going to go ahead and remove some of my drawings for now. Okay, so you can see here, right, over the last couple of days, we've had some bullish price action, right? We've begun to break some levels to the upside, okay, and working our way above 4,100. Price has managed to get above our 9 EMA, which we care about, and maybe above our 21-day EMA, also giving us an indication that there is some bullish momentum behind this. Okay, if I look at my DMI here, well, the DMI managed to cross, but has not exceeded the ADX or is not accelerating to the upside. Okay, our ADX is indicating that there's not a whole lot of strength behind this current move. Okay, right, our ADX is kind of falling, indicating that there's not a lot of participation in the current direction. Okay, and then last but not least, we look at the volume delta. Right now we're getting more, price is aligned with the general direction of volume at the moment, all indicating that price volume, we're getting positive volume, more buy orders and sell orders, and that's leading to higher prices. Okay, so volume and price, at least at the moment, continues to be aligned. Okay, taking a look at the 30-minute chart, and this is kind of where I use the fixed range volume profile. I'm gonna open up let's see, what do I got going here? All right, so I got some other indicator here below. Let's see, we're gonna get rid of. Okay, let's get rid of this one. At least hide it. Okay, we got initial balance over 2 days. I don't need that either. All right. Okay, so looking at this, first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fixed range volume profile tool, and I'm going to establish the session. Okay, I'm going to look at yesterday's session. Okay, since today is Wednesday, we're going to look at yesterday's session, and see where price is in relation to yesterday's session. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right. Okay, there we are. So now again, looking at this, I see that price is above the area of value from yesterday. Okay, indicating to me indicating to me that we have some participation. Okay, or participants are willing to pay a premium to be part of this market. Right, price is above our value range, where 70% of the volume, 70% of the volume was traded price wise. We hung out at this level for a period of time, and then at the start of I guess maybe tail end of Asia, beginning of London, we found some aggressive buyers. Okay, so market rallied. So price is above. That's one view on sentiment right now. Since price is above our value range from yesterday, it appears that we are in somewhat of bullish sentiment, market sentiment at the moment. All right. Now, the next thing that I do is I take a look at initial balance across the various sessions. Now, we introduced yesterday this idea that maybe we should be looking at some other sessions beyond current session to see if we could find some levels here. Okay, so we're going to start off with the Asia session. Okay, so Asia session, you can see offered a very nice extension to the upside. Now, notice what happened here. Okay, once we got this extension, right? Once we got this extension, what did price do? Well, price came back to the initial balance high that was created by the Asia session. We talked about this. We talked about this yesterday with respect to New York, right? We were in the New York session in range, but what did it do? It came back to the initial balance high of London and offered us a nice opportunity to the upside. The same is true here. Price extended the range in Asia, came back at the high end of the initial balance range, and offered us a nice extension or a bullish trade during I guess the start of London. Okay, now what has London done with this? Well, London appears to be either in range. Okay, appears to be in range. No, London also extended the range to the upside. Okay, rather vigorously. Okay, so we got this initial balance, right? We got a close above on the 30-minute. And then the very next candle drove price all the way to the 200% extension. Okay, so what is price doing now? Well, looks like we're having a little bit of trouble getting above 41.20. We are a little bit extended to the upside, so it would not surprise me in the least if price were to come back during the New York session and maybe potentially retest this initial balance high that was established in London. Okay, so this again, this area around 4,088, okay, 4,090, okay, could be a logical area. And we also see that we have the 20 EMA and the and VWAP down at this area here. So I would say anywhere between 4,095 all the way down to 4,090 would be a logical target for price to come back to and locate the same kind of buyers that drove price away from the initial balance high earlier in the London session. Okay, so right now, I have to say that the market is well, kind of acting kind of neutral, right? But the market is still very much in an uptrend. Okay, so I would have to say bullish to neutral, and probably would need to, I would say, probably wait for maybe a little bit of a pullback, right? Maybe at this level here at 4,096 would be a logical level to see price, or maybe as low as 4,090. This whole area down below seems like a buyer's rich area, right? To maybe stalk and monitor to see if we get any sort of pattern or any sort of indication that price will indeed reverse from these levels. Okay, so that's kind of what I have for you for gold. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the crude oil market. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the daily chart. Looks like we found some sellers in this market. Surprise, surprise. We continue to, every time we show signs that maybe we're going to break up to the upside, we are again shown that who's in control. The sellers remain in control, right? sellers have not really been able to extend, but we've been kind of bouncing inside this range. And if you look at it from left to right, the market continues to be a market that's showing weakness. Okay, we show signs that the market is still rather weak. Okay, we remain in this kind of bearish channel, or bearish channel here to the downside. If I draw my channel here, as long as price remains in this channel, really there's really nothing to do other than to fade the edges of the channel. Right? If I'm a range trader, then this is a range trader's paradise. Every time I come into the upper end of the range, I find sellers. Every time I come into the bottom end of the range, I find buyers. Until this pattern is broken, that it seems wise that we continue to take advantage of that. Okay, all right. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart. We'll kind of zooming in on these daily candles. There it is. We can see that we remain inside this channel with a lot more candles. Okay. We got up to this 60-50 range. It was an area where we had some prior selling, and we found some sellers again. Market has fallen again in the same general area where we had sellers in the past. Okay. Now, are we going to find buyers right around 58? Okay. Well, the chart's saying that we should. Okay. So if I'm a buyer, okay, if I'm looking to buy this market, well, I need to be a buyer at some of these extremes, right? Some of these areas that's going to force buyers to potentially step into this market. If I'm a seller, well, then I need to continue to focus my attention up at the upper end of this channel. All right, 60-50, 60-60, maybe even as high as 61 would be some areas that I'd focus in on the sell side. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 30-minute chart. Again, we're going to go ahead and remove some of our drawings here. We're going to again focus in on the fixed range volume profile. And that's how I use the fixed range volume profile, is I want to understand where price is in relation to whatever value range was established in yesterday's session. Okay. So I do that comparison on a daily basis. All right. So I'm going to go locate the start of the session, and I'm going to drag this across to the close of the session. And you can see, right? You can see that price is below value, right? It's below our value range, indicating that there are participants that are very happy to pay a premium to be a part of this market to the downside. Now we're getting some reaction here. So this level down below here is causing the market. Looks like maybe we're getting a little bit of buyers at a logical level here around 58.60. The question now becomes, do they have the requisite number of market participants to again drive price back the other direction? Because we are extended to the downside a good amount, right? So it would not be a surprise at all to see the market rally up to the 9 EMA, maybe rally up to the 21 EMA or VWAP, and then from there, right, get a continuation. So somewhere between 59.52 all the way up to maybe 59.85. This whole area could offer us a logical location for the market to continue to the downside. Now, one thing that we need to be aware of today is EIA. So EIA is in the picture. That's kind of like the FOMC equivalent for the crude oil. Is an inventory report that could generate quite a bit of volatility in the market, especially if this participants step in and in response to it. Okay, so again, 10:30 a.m. we have the EIA report. I would obviously let the EIA report kind of settle in, and then decide from there what direction market participants want to take this market. All right, let's go ahead now and kind of walk through the initial balance ranges across the various markets here and see what they have to offer. Okay, so we're going to start off with the Asia session and see what the market participants were able to do. Well, the market participants were able to extend the market to the downside. Again, you can see that we got a nice little extension, or maybe a couple here that we were kind of in range, but ultimately we drove price to the downside. Okay. Market participants showed their hand. And what did we do? Well, we came back to that same level, initial balance low, and this time we came sellers came in with new business, right? They said, okay, buyers, you think you're going to take this longer? Not under my watch. Okay. And the start of London extended the session, extended price well below initial balance. Okay. Taking a look at the London market. All right. So looking at London here. Okay. Nice. We got we took a peek above. Okay. Took a peek above at a natural area of balance. Unable to take price beyond 60.60, and we reversed pretty strong, right? We went from 60.60 all the way down to the low 59s into 58, high 58s, okay, over the course of the evening. Okay, so London again continues to show us that trading crude oil during the London session can be quite profitable. All right. Problem is, for myself, is that a man needs to sleep. Okay. So again, this remains, all right, created a nice situation here during the London session. Now we are a bit extended. All right, we are a bit extended to the downside. So what are some scenarios here? Well, it would not surprise me in the least if we rallied up to any of these levels here: 9 EMA, 21 EMA, or VWAP. Okay, VWAP being the middle one. Any of these levels would be a logical target for price to potentially rally from current levels, assuming that maybe we get a little bit of a 3-bar reversal pattern. I wouldn't necessarily marry this trade because there's a lot of bearish structure in this, but for a scalp trade, maybe back from current levels up to 9 EMA or to the VWAP, or maybe as high as the initial balance low from London. These are all logical places for price to rally to. This initial balance low could offer us a logical location for a continuation trade to the downside. Okay, so some things to consider there. Okay, all right. Before we move on to the equities, I am going to put on my little hat here, and I see a little bit of a delta between, not a volume delta, but a delta. How you say, a like delta, the like delta indicator. That's what I would call it. The like delta indicator is a little light. Okay, it's a little light, right? And we need to work on getting that like indicator on par with our. We need to move this back to balance. Okay, we need to move this like indicator likes back to balance. Right now we're a little bit extended to the downside. Okay. And we need to see if we can get that these likes on par with what we have here as far as attendance. Okay. So in all seriousness, guys, really the only thing that I'm asking you guys to do is to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit any button that will be favorable in supporting the channel. Okay. Right. If you're not currently a subscriber, subscribe. If you want to be alerted of future sessions in the future, hit the notification bell, travel to the portal, leave me a comment or two to let everybody else know that how these sessions are supporting you in analyzing and understanding the context of the market. Okay. So now that we've gotten back to, within my, 10% rule here, close. Okay. Within tolerance now. Okay. Back to balance here a little bit. We'll go ahead and move on to the equity markets. All right. So let's take a look at the equities. We'll start off with the NQ. All right. We'll start off with the daily chart here and see what the daily chart is telling us. All right. Okay. And see. Okay. So here we are. Again, guys, if I'm looking at just these set of candles, I'm sure everyone would agree that we are in some sort of bearish channel at the moment. Okay. We are in some sort of bearish structure, price structure, right? Lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. Now, do we make a lower high? Meaning that do we get a little bit of a rally back up to the 9 EMA to create another lower high? We'll have to see, right? This is a daily chart. This could take a few days. right? But as we get some additional context, okay, we can see that the price has reached a level where we could see some buying. We could see some buyers in this market. If we don't see any buyers here and we end up breaking this level below 24,375, well, watch out below, okay? Because the next logical stop, okay, the next logical stop would be down at this level, because this is the last area where I see balanced price action, okay? So we could go as low as 23,780 with 790 without much effort, and maybe as low as 23,200, okay, or 23,000 itself, okay. So relatively important level, okay, I would say relatively important level to hold if I'm bullish, right? Because the if we manage to break below this level with some volume, then that could lead price to maybe correct all the way down to what some of the levels that we talked about before. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see how this current again, we're kind of beginning to enter earnings season. We have our first earnings coming in today from NVIDIA, okay, which is a tech, which is what NQ tracks. So it'll be interesting if NVIDIA, how NVIDIA reports and how it affects the market. So it'll be interesting to see whether we end up getting a bullish candle or this candle turns after the session and continues to the downside. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart. We're going to go ahead and zoom in on these 4-hour candles. We're going to turn off initial balance. So again, just looking at where price is in relation to some of these EMAs or EMAs that we have on the chart. Price is below all of them. Okay. Price is below all of them. Okay. Indicating that we are in some sort of bearish structure. Now, we are of late, if you look at the last 4 candles, right? A lot of overlapping candles here, right? We have bullish candle followed by bearish candle, bullish candle followed by bearish candle, bullish candle. Does it follow with another bearish candle? Okay. So we've been ranging of late. We've been ranging since Tuesday, okay, in these markets. All right. So the question now becomes, do we remain below? Because whatever momentum that we've had to the downside, well, that's been stalled here a little bit. Okay. You can see even in the our DMI indicator, our DI is losing a little bit of steam. Our positive indicator is picking up some steam. It still hasn't crossed it, so we're not out of the woods with respect to bears. The current bearish move is still quite strong, as is indicated by the ADX indicator, right? So, but it is losing a little bit of momentum. We're not seeing the same amount of momentum to the downside, at least on the 4-hour chart, that we've seen prior. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, we're going to go ahead and, again, open up the fixed range volume profile. Okay, I'm going to open up the fixed range volume profile here and take a look at and to see where price is in relation to yesterday's price action. All right, so we're going to start here, drag that across to the close. All right, and you can see, where is price? Well, price is inside the value range from yesterday, right? It seems at the moment that participants are quite content in remaining inside 24,550 and a high of 24,790. That's what this is telling me. Price is inside. Price is indicating that it's quite content to be in this range. Okay. No aggressive buying, no aggressive selling going on right now. We're getting an equal amount of buying and selling. All right. All right. So we are in balance based on prior session value. Okay. Taking a look at the initial balance here. All right. Let's see what the initial balance has to say. Okay. Well, we start off with the Asia market. Which direction was Asia able to take this market? Well, they were able to initially take it up to the 50%, but then found some sellers, okay, and they were able to take and rotate all the way through the initial balance range from Asia, okay, before they found some buyers. Buyers stepped in at the tail end of Asia and into, it appears, into London. Okay, let's take a look at London. Okay, into London, right, and extended the range. Now we are back at the initial balance high. The question now becomes, if this is truly a trend, and I'm not sure I believe it, to the upside. If this is truly a trend to the upside, initial balance high or VWAP at the worst should hold. Okay, if we are moving from a bearish trend into a bullish trend, initial balance high or initial VWAP should hold and offer us maybe an opportunity for a continuation move to the upside. Okay, that's what it should do. Now, if price breaks below the VWAP, well, then I would say that we are destined to revisit the lows. Okay, down here around 24,512. So we're at an important area, not showing a whole lot of signs that the price wants to reverse away from initial balance right now. Okay, if anything, it's looking like more of a failed auction. Okay, looks like it may want to rotate all the way down to 24,580. Right? Assuming that we can close here. VWAP is going to be interesting around the 612 level. So right now it seems like it's going through maybe a little bit of a rotation lower, or actually more a continuation of the current sentiment here. Okay. All right. So headed into the session, again, looking at this market from left to right, I see that the market is sloping to the downside, making this very simple, right? Very simple for me. It's telling me that I should continue to look for opportunities to the downside. Okay, if I'm truly bullish on this market, I need to continue to focus my attention on down at some of these levels: 24,500, 24,480. That's the area. That's the area. If I'm looking to buy, that's the area that I should be focusing on. Buying up at these levels doesn't seem like a recipe for success. Okay, if anything, I should be looking at the earliest that I would be looking for a buy would be VWAP, and that's inside the initial balance range for London. I would need to see a pretty significant, reversal pattern off of VWAP to entertain maybe a bullish trade. Right now, it appears that we're moving in a bearish direction in the Nasdaq. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at ES and do a similar analysis across all the time frames. Again, here we are. We're going to go ahead and remove some of our drawings, and we're going to take a look and see what market is telling us. Well, again, if I'm just looking at these set of candles here, we are in bearish structure at the moment, right? Lower lows, lower highs. And now we're coming into an area of importance, I think, for the buyers, just like we said for the NASDAQ, right around the 6,600 level. I think it's a relatively important level for the buyers. If price should fail below 6,600 and get below, say, 65.50, then I think we're destined to come back to 6,400. Okay. I think we're destined to come back to 6,400 if we are unable to hold these levels. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart again, we see that we're kind of barcoding here a little bit at this level. All right. Going to turn off initial balance. We're kind of barcoding around, 6660, 6620 level, right? A lot of overlapping candles indicating that we are in some sort of range. Again, maybe they're waiting for the FOMC to report before they decide on which direction to take the market. If they don't hear what they want to hear in the FOMC, that could cause the market to sell off, right? If they don't get maybe the interest rate adjustment that they're looking for, we could easily sell off. And until then, this equity market could remain in range until that report comes out. Okay. Right. So we need to be careful with the equities leading up to the FOMC. All right. Taking a look at the 30-minute chart. All right, 30-minute chart, again, not really giving us all that much difference here, in indication that we seem to be in some sort of range here. I see a little bit of maybe a consolidation triangle pattern here. If I draw this here, right, I see this, right, pattern here establishing in the market. Now, the question now is it going to continue to hold the bottom of this line, this trend line here? Okay. Or is it going to break down and maybe come back down to revisit 66.24, making this less of a symmetrical pattern and more of maybe a descending wedge? Okay. All right, let's take a look here at the fixed range volume profile. Let's see where price is in relation to yesterday's price action. We're going to go ahead and locate the start of the session here. There it is, and drag that to the close of the session. And you can see that a lot similar to what we saw in the NASDAQ, price remains inside the value range, inside an area of balance, indicating that we are still not seeing a whole lot in the way of aggressive buyers or sellers. They're balanced on both sides. Okay. I would say this value area low at 66.28 would be important. Value area high at 66.80 is another area that of importance. So if I'm trading the equities right now, those would be the areas that I would be focused in on, right? Maybe even as low as 66.10. Okay, might be another area where I can maybe focus my attention, because right now we are in the middle of the range. Really not an area that I would want to participate. A lot of overlapping price. Not the set of price action that would offer us, strong opportunities in any one direction. Okay, so we'll just have to monitor this. Let's take a look now at the initial balance. I suspect I know what is similar, probably going to be very similar to what we saw in the NAS, but we'll look anyway, and we'll start off with Asia here. Okay, so you can see that Asia, similar to ES, we had a initial extension of the initial balance to the upside, created a failed auction. We auctioned right back to the other side of the initial balance. And what do we find? The same thing we found on NASDAQ. We found some buying, all right? Extended the range to the upside and into London. Okay, so we'll open up the London session here. Okay, into London. All right, so we opened up in London, right, to the upside, again, creating a little bit of a failed auction here. Now we have price back inside the initial balance range for London. I feel like we're pretty destined to kind of come back down to retest 66.36. That seems like a conclusion now. I think we're too close to the proximity. And if we break down that level, then maybe we come back and we maybe retest the lows here at 66.25. Okay. So heading into FOMC later this afternoon, it appears that the market is ranging. Unless you have a very good ranging kind of strategy, I think this market leading up to the FOMC is probably going to mark as a market that's going to test your patience, or you're going to have to be super patient and wait for good levels to participate in this market to avoid getting chopped up to some degree. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the last equity market, and then we'll make one final pass across the other sessions. Make one last pitch on my like indicator. Actually, the like indicator looks like is above my like indicator at the moment. But let's take a look at the Dow. Okay, similar view here, guys. Again, similar kind of price action over the last 4 days. Price has created candle after candle after candle after candle to the downside. Now it's come into an area where we should expect to see some buyers, right? Again, I'm going to go ahead and draw in my support zone here around 46,000. Okay, this would be an area. Any place in this area here could cause the market to reverse. Okay, we are extended to the downside. So we are a ways away from our VWAP. All right. So it would not, again, surprise me in the least if we were to rally from these levels. Okay. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart, again, we seem to be, again, barcoding at this area of demand. candle after candle, right? One bullish candle followed by a bearish candle, another bullish candle followed by a bearish candle. Really no direction at the moment. The overall direction is down. You can see that price is below our 9 EMA. Am I going to take a stab at maybe looking for a long here? If I do, I'm not. I don't want to see price get below 45,993. Okay, I don't want to see that. I have to accept the fact that I am in some downside structure in this market. Okay, and I am trading against the trend. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind there. Okay, let's take a look at the 30-minute chart and let's compare. Let's see where price is in relation to yesterday's price action here. Okay, again, we're going to draw in the fixed range volume profile. We're going to start in and into the close of the session. And again, very similar to what we saw in the other equity markets. Price is inside a range. I can, again, feel like I can draw in the same kind of consolidation pattern that I drew for the ES here, right? Okay, so there's that little consolidation pattern that we were talking about. Price is below our 9 EMA, below our VWAP, and inside our initial balance range for London. Let's take a peek here at Asia real quick and see. Okay, Asia, again, similar probably thing, right? We had Asia consolidate, came back down, extended to the downside, found some buyers, and we rallied. Okay, into London. London, I think, was initially, let's see, initially bullish. We extended the range, but then we're not able to find new participants to continue to drive price to the upside. So what happens? The market auctions lower until they can find buyers, right? So right now, 46,140 seems to be an area where we might find some buyers. If we don't find any buyers at 46,140, we go down to 46,80. Okay, or 46,100. Okay. And if we don't find buyers there, well, next stop, 46,000. Okay, that's kind of what I'm seeing in the Dow. So across all the markets, and I think this is probably the fact that we have FOMC, it appears that we are in some sort of range. Bearish, neutral to bearish is kind of my view on all the equities. Okay, so let's make one final pass with the time that we have remaining here. Okay. Again, continuing to make. It looks like my my like indicator has reached the appropriate level. It's in balance. Okay, so my like indicator is reporting positive here. Okay, so looking at the gold. Okay, again, ranging. Why? Probably waiting for that same information that the Nasdaq is. Gold is ranging to the upside. Okay. Is ranging on the high end of the market. Again, they need a catalyst. They need further clarity on what FOMC is going to say before they decide. Could that lead to maybe a little bit of a sell-off if they get some positive FOMC meetings? Yes, absolutely. Could that? So right now, the market is in bullish structure, but it's struggling. It's struggling to get above 4120. At some point, 4120, market the sellers are going to get bold, and they're going to say, you know what? I don't think the buyers have the participants to continue to drive this market higher. So we're going to step in force and drive price lower and see if we can pick some of this up at lower prices. 4094, 4090 seems to be that logical place. All right. Taking a look at crude oil. Okay. Again, we have EIA today. Again, we remain in some sort of bearish structure, and it looks to be more bearish and bearish as we head into the session. I'm going to take a look here at the initial balance range for the current session, and we are developing a bearish candle here. Okay, we have a lot of momentum, right? A lot of momentum based on this ADX indicator to the downside. We did take a little bit of a blip here. Loss of some momentum here, but the ADX indicator is still rather strong. It's above the 30. Still a lot of momentum in the crude oil market to the downside. Okay, looking across the equities one last time. Okay, we see that we are in some sort of range kind of price action. We are maybe in the bearish leg of that range. I would say that 24,500 would be a relatively important level if I'm bullish. Bears, I would say the would be a resistance area, probably would be around I don't know, somewhere between 24,730 as high as maybe 24,800. Okay, you see that we have our negative DI has crossed above our positive. Okay, indicating that there is maybe some momentum that's coming into this market to the downside. All right, yes, similar story, I would believe. Okay, we are inside an area of balance. Again, giving us the same kind of indication on the DMI indicator, indicating that there's a fair amount of momentum to the downside. Currently, ADX has not really offered us a true indication that maybe this momentum to the downside is restored. But our DI is indicating that, yes, indeed, we're seeing that price is picking up some momentum to the downside. And then last but not least, our Dow, I think is very similar. Okay, again, if I had to hide the symbol, you'd be hard pressed. If I hid price and the symbol, you'd be hard pressed to tell me which one's which. Okay, because they all look very similar in price structure development, all in balance, all showing signs of maybe some potential bearish continuation moves here. Okay. All right. I think that's pretty much it, guys. So with those that remain, if you have not already hit the like button, I would encourage you to do so. If you're not already a subscriber, I would encourage you to do the same. Add yourself as a subscriber, hit the notification bell, make a comment or two on the portal, let everybody know how this analysis is supporting you. I am making a drive here to reach 1,000 subscribers here by the end of the year. Okay, that is my goal, and I'm going to continue to push for that. So tell your neighbors, tell your friends about the great things and the great analysis that you're receiving here. And with that, we will close this session as we close all sessions. Trade well, trade safe, trade like a pro, be a market trader. All right, Callum, I'll see you tonight in during the group coaching, during the Top Step call. Hopefully you have a better understanding of how we use fixed range volume profile to help us arrive at market sentiment. I think that was a question that you asked of me yesterday. Didn't have time to really go into it, but now hopefully you got a little bit more visibility on that aspect. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me. Trade well, trade safe, trade like a pro, be a market trader, guys. Have a great session. Be careful out there. We are in FOMC, especially if you trade equities. We also, if you trade crude, there's an EIA there. There's a lot of potential uneven price action that could happen today. Okay. All right, guys. Have a great day, and we'll talk again soon.